Good afternoon. I'm Eric with LotusFlare, and today's session is going to be all about how do we make money off of network APIs. So this is not going to be a tech discussion. This is going to be more of a go-to-market commercial discussion. And let me quickly introduce myself, and then I'll invite my fellow panelists onto the stage. So at LotusFlare, we basically help operators build and monetize network APIs and go to market using different channels. We provide the essential rating, commerce, consent management, developer websites, and we work with T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom, and other operators around the world to help operators go to market. So essentially, it's a digital BSS platform that's been specially adapted to help operators go to market with APIs. Let me introduce my fellow panelists and invite them on stage. James with Vonage and Ryan with TELUS, if you'd please join me up here. Great. Thank you, James. All right. Great. So we'll just settle in and have a quick fireside chat. Let's start with kind of the state of the industry and get everyone's view on it. So many of us here have been at DTW for a few years now. And the last year we were here, there was talk about network APIs. They were definitely on the agenda. And there was a lot of skepticism and concern about the standards and fragmentation in the industry and lack of proven traction in the industry. So I just kind of want to quickly get your state of view of where we are now in June of 2026 with the overall API economy. James, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Eric. So I come from Vonage. We're a channel partner within the Open Gateway ecosystem. And I totally agree with Eric. I think last year in particular, there was a lot of skepticism. And this year we're seeing that to flip because we're seeing the APIs now being deployed. We've got a strong demand. So we represent the customer-facing side of the ecosystem. As you might know, the number of APIs that are available today is small. We've been talking about it for a long time, and that's down to complexity. A lot of those early scalability problems are what we're solving now. The other thing that we're seeing is more coverage. So, you know, when we go to our customers, they want full coverage. They want these APIs to perform just like any other cloud product. They can plug and play in AWS or you know, in Azure. That's the level of simplification that's required. And with that, they want to cover all of their own subscribers. So to say, well, we've got one operator connected and that can give you 30% coverage, it's interesting, but it's not where we need to be. You know, we need to have that full country coverage. So let's say we get to 75%, which is an achievable goal, and we're doing that now in multiple countries. Then you need to optimize those APIs. So then you have to start hitting the point where they'll flip from their existing solution, whether it's one-time passcode or you know, an existing location technology, to get them to flip to the network API alternative. You have to have the performance there. And again, one of the reasons why it's been slow, but we're seeing that turn. We're seeing that turn as well, and we're learning as we go. And we're quite excited about the next set of APIs. Next year, we'll be looking at quality on demand, location APIs as well.
Great, thanks, James. And Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Ryan Tollofson. I'm a Director of Marketing and Emerging Services in the wholesale division of TELUS called Partner Solutions out of Canada. And I think one of the unique places is that being from that part of the business, I get to incubate things with a little less influence from other parts of the organization and change. And I think it's been really helpful for network APIs. It also naturally is affords a partnership perspective, which I think the ecosystem requires a partnership perspective. I think that I tend to agree with James that there was some skepticism. I think there still is probably a nascent nature to the APIs today, and we have to continue to have a longer term perspective. I think the challenge from a telco's perspective, I'm sorry if I just go on past my introduction, that doing something new and innovative that's not a cash cow for a very long period of time, like for the time required to actually get good at it, is difficult. And I think the way that we at TELUS are trying to do that is to incubate this and to be able to find those use cases and to make sure and to protect it from all the things that are going to potentially take it off course while we're figuring out the ecosystem, the use cases. And I'm not sure we need more use cases. I think we need to find the right use cases that are going to scale more quickly together, and to be able to test and to innovate on those use cases.
Great. So let's talk about the use cases for a minute and go a little deeper on that topic. So one of the things that we're seeing at LotusFlare is that silent network authentication using the number verify API is becoming a very popular use case. It's used by e-commerce players, ride-hailing apps, fintech companies as a way of getting away from the very clunky SMS OTP that we've all lived with for years and years. In fact, many regulators around the world are requiring the telecom operators to move away from OTP as well because there's inherent security flaws and opportunities for hackers to get into that loop. So Silent Network Auth and Number Verify provide a really transparent solution to that takes advantage of the power of the network, the SIM, the device identification, and significantly improves the user experience. So if you think about an e-commerce company, they might see a very high cart abandonment rate when they introduce an SMS OTP requirement, or a ride-hailing app may have that same drop-off. Using silent network authentication, the power of the APIs from the network, you can improve that outcome for the end customer, the enterprise. So James, I know at Vonage you work a lot with enterprises. What do you see on the demand side of the industry in terms of use cases?
Yeah, good point. So this was sort of our flagship API, the number verification. It's one of the Kamara APIs. And we were early adopters of the number verification V1, I'm talking here. And so we've been doing some extensive testing. We had a success in Spain with number verification with a customer called Lydia. And they were able to improve conversion substantially on their platform. I think they increased signups by 30%, which for any sort of app developer is amazing, right? So that's the story we need to get out there is so that more companies can understand that. Number verification V2 brings further advantages. It's more tightly connected to the phone's operating system, so it works on Wi-Fi, for example. So that's really exciting. Again, it's just the evolution. When you look at the alternatives today, companies are so ingrained in the one-time passcode as a two-factor authentication method. It's ubiquitous. Most enterprises are using it. And what we'll see over time is that shifting towards silent authentication. The main reason for the conversion uplift is that you don't have customers going to check their SMS to get the code to type in the code. It's a no-brainer. And then, so at Vonage, how we solve this is we have a product called Verify, and it has fallbacks in place. So let's say you're interested in silent authentication, but maybe the country that you're working in, you can only get 30% coverage. The Verify app will fall back to one-time passcode or WhatsApp in some cases, or even voice, depending on the configuration. So that's just something we offer as a solution to help this API scale. It's an example of how the channel partners are adding value to the ecosystem as well.
Great. And Ryan, what use cases are you focused on at TELUS?
I'll answer that question, but I kind of want to address Number Verify because it's the holy grail, I think, of Kamara APIs right now that we're all talking about. It's also the one that has the largest economic friction. I manage the A2P business, and how we're going to manage that shift. And there's no question it's a better technology, and applications are moving in that direction. And I think TELUS is trying to really manage how we figure out that shift. But it's a technology shift because there are some significant headwinds against moving to Number Verify. Who's driving the Number Verify conversation? Is it going to be the vendors? Is it going to be the aggregators? Is it going to be the OEM providers who would like their own direct access? So the reason I framed it is I think we need to find a 2 and 3 that's going to not necessarily have gigantic pots of money that have made a lot of money for telcos that are going to make it difficult for us to do that shift. One of them I think that's popular in Europe, and I think it's going to start to come to Canada or start in Australia actually, is age verification. I think and identity in general. I think moving away from the ability to use the network to provide information for applications that are going to be regulatory oriented. That's certainly a sweet spot, but anything that's going to allow for the application to be able to provide a better customer experience and to be able to comply with KYC, I think that is an API that would make sense. And so number of age verifications, one of the higher order ones for me.
Great. Go-to-market channels is one of the subjects of our session here. So just want to touch on this for a minute. What we're seeing from our perspective is many operators that want to get into the API economy are thinking about a multi-market channel approach. So one channel is their direct-to-developer website, where maybe they have some exclusive offers and some early release APIs available. And then operators also want to work with aggregators like Aduna, hyperscalers, and maybe even use their own enterprise sales team to sell APIs, maybe bundle those with different services. And that really puts importance upon having a very flexible kind of commerce and pricing capability. So you can charge based upon usage, based upon time, prepaid, postpaid, subscription, having all of those different pricing elements in your toolkit essentially as you go to market through different channels. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vonage, our business, was built on transactional messaging. Okay, so that's all transactional pricing, and then of course we can offer pricing bundles to customers as well, and we would typically offer that to larger customers. But what we're seeing now is not just within Vonage, but also within the Open Gateway, discussions around outcome-based pricing. And so, to give you an example, I could send an SMS to do a one-time passcode, or I could send an SMS to help prevent a fraud. Now, one of those has a high value to the organization, but it's the same price, right? It's just an SMS. So what we don't want to do in Open Gateway is fall into that trap again with the network APIs. So, for example, a location check, which is allowing an organization to to prevent fraud, might be a higher value than a location check of where is my some sort of IoT tracking solution. So how do we get there? How do we get to outcome-based pricing? It's understanding those markets and understanding how we design packages that we can offer there. An obvious place that we could end up is around subscription-based pricing. So you would pay a subscription and it's on a monthly license, and then you would get a certain number of API calls included. Maybe there's different ratchets, right? So for different tiers, very similar to how you might see in cloud pricing for usage-based different pricing tiers as well.
Great, right?
Well, TELUS is actually going to be launching a direct-to-developer portal in the partnership with LotusFlare in early next year. So we've decided that is an important part of our portfolio. I don't think it's mutually exclusive. To your point, James, we need to have an ecosystem of aggregators being able to bridge the countries. No one wants to buy 10% of a marketplace when they're coming into using APIs. So I think that we have to find the way to stimulate the ecosystem. But one of the reasons we decided to do direct developer is not only so we have feedback, it's so we can actually test through product qualified leads. We'll have a marketplace which we can actually test new ideas, new concepts, and quite frankly, if we didn't have a direct-to-developer way to monetize the solution, I wouldn't be able to move investment through the company and have the innovation required to support an aggregator. So I think by having both, we are able to invest in the APIs and then share it through the aggregator and network as well.